Wings.and.Water was early February 2015. I just kind of started thinking about, with the issues around everybody finds differences in each other, I wanted to find some common grounds. I found this property and purchased it. My family owns it. It's about 110 acres. And then I set it up to bring kids from the urban environment, inner city. So Wings.and.Water, the mission is basically expose urban youth to the wonders of the great outdoors. We decided to help deal with the funding needs with the children and everything, because we don't charge any aspect from traveling down here to any of the events we have. From feeding the kids, all the activities and stuff, we don't charge for any of that, and we don't do any fundraising. We're gonna go around the property. I've got several things. I've got to check the feeders for the deer, the fish, and then we'll ultimately wind up at the chicken coop. This is the 10-acre lake. I've got bass. We've actually tagged 2 10-pounders on in the lake. I keep game cameras around the feeders, and I want to see the progress and the health of the deer. I've got a 1,000-pound protein feeder here, and it's pelletized protein, basically, and it just bumps the protein until they get an appetite for it, and then I slowly wean the corn out. And what's interesting is it's pretty much set up for the bucks, but the does eat out of it more than the bucks. Got everything from Fuyu or Asiatic persimmons to Arkansas black apples. And also I've got 2 different types of pears in here as well. And again, this is to feed the game. At some point, we'll probably have to fence these off so they can mature a little bit. They're in tree tubes. This helps stimulate the growth as well as protect them. Doesn't protect them from the fire ants. I've got to do some work here dealing with the fire ant population. And I've got 3 or 4 of these groves are planted strategically around the property. So I put this wiring up so it gives me an idea how hard the deer are coming in here and grazing, because they can't get in to feed in this area. Basically, it shows where, if it wasn't eaten, how high it would be. And then I look over in specific areas, I can see how much grazing has been taking place. Here's one of my Texas Hunter 1,000-pound corn feeders. We'll run a test on it. Everything appears as it should. We'll go on to the chicken coop now. That's the backside of my 400-yard range. I've got a variety of rifles. Oddly enough, I pretty much, when I do hunt, I bow hunt. But I do enjoy rifles. I reload all my calibers, and I enjoy kind of shooting at those ranges. Here's what we call the condominium, and this is kind of our guest house. The former owner tells me he won that from shooting dice. I don't know if that's correct or not, but it makes a good story. So here's the entrance to the condominium. Of course, it hasn't had people stay here in a while, so I've got to do some cleaning up. But it's got, 2 beds. It's just a rustic cabin. I like to come out here a lot, and I journal, bring the dogs up here, and they hang out with me. And the best place to watch the sunset in the evenings is absolutely right here. You guys ready to go deal with the chickens? We had named them all, and then raccoon broke in there one evening and killed Bertha. And after that, we don't give them names anymore. As far as the lake, it's the otters I've got that migrate through here. Probably my biggest problem with eating the fish in the lake. The coyotes are the next. That's probably the biggest issue I have, and I deal with them, but they continue to be a problem, and mainly around on my fawn population. This was an old quail flight pen that housed quail that were being put out on the place for guests to hunt, and I've turned it into, it makes an excellent chicken coop, and that's exactly what I've turned it into. We decided to help deal with the funding needs with the children and everything, and so we started private labeling a variety of products, and one happens to be these pair of scissors. They're private labeled. You see the name Wings.and.Water, and they're just a decent pair of scissors for use around the property. Everything from cutting the bag open for the chicken feed to cleaning fish. This is just they'll start migrating out of here so I can pull eggs and stuff. The duck, I had two. I had Squeak and Pip. And we had two with the intention of letting them out into the lake. But the coyote population around here, anytime I've gotten a chicken get loose that I can't get back in, it's not here for very long. And so we just decided that the ducks need to stay in with the chickens. And actually what's interesting, as long as you don't wash these eggs, they can stay for a long time unrefrigerated. From what I understand, most countries besides the US do not allow for washing the eggs. When I'm down the property, every other day I check the chickens and stuff. When I'm not on the property, my property managers come over here and handle it. This is the catfish pond. What I like to do is when the kids are down, when we end fishing for the day, like them all to come down here and basically line up and catch as much as they want. And I'm gonna check this feeder here and see it's still got feed in it. And I use a floating catfish feed out here that I get at the co-op. In the early morning and late evening, the wood ducks make a sound that you would think there was a Sasquatch in here or something. There's a couple of locals that look like abominable snowman. Now we're coming up on the backside of a field, which I've got bucks making a scrape over here. And as far as setting up dominance and parameters, you've got, and they've actually broken that one off, but down here you can see they've got two scrapes. Okay, this is a scrape made by a buck. And it's
footprint?
Yes, those are and this is relatively fresh because you don't see a lot of leaves in here, and we've had heavy rains and you don't see any indication. So they've been using this, and so the bucks come in here and they make this scrape, and it's on the back side of one of our green fields. Well, under this scrape here, you'll see a lot of times around these scrapes, you'll see a low-hanging branch like this, and basically they'll come up here and they'll hook it a little bit, and that's why you see it broke, but they lick it, and so it just puts out, I think, more scent, and their tarsal glands will put scent into the scrape as well. And again, it's just basically letting the does know that there's an active buck in the area, as well as setting up territory. A lot of pictures of Bo on these cameras too. He poses for them regularly. This is another one of my, it's about a 3-acre. And this one has in it, let me stop a second. They're called tubers here, known as deer radishes. And it's like a turnip. The deer will eat these tops off. and then eventually they'll start eating the tuber itself. So they're beneficial for that. Also, when they decay, they put a lot of nitrogen back into the soil. This feeder, I may have to change the battery out of this feeder. Yeah. All right, y'all may want to step back. Get some pictures of my bees here in a minute. They're active today. That's again the whole conservation discussion with the colony collapse disorder that's prevalent in this country right now. I'm one of the proponents that everybody should be raising bees. Some studies indicate that if our bees disappear, human life as itself will disappear, which there is some merit, because your yields with having bees on the property with your crops is some 35% higher than than without bees. So we keep bees not only to help them, but to help us as well. I'm down to a couple of hives right now, and I'll have as many as 5 during the season.
What's the season?
Season's during our growing season, basically. Fall, spring, summer. I'll build up my hives substantially during that period of time to help with the pollination. Now, during the winter months, I've been cutting this field in with the tractor to try to get the weeds killed off by turning it constantly with a disc. Basically what we're going to do, and this is very, very important if you're going to plant anything, even in your gardens, and that's to take soil samples. And I have it with the local co-op. I bag it, and then it gets sent off, so I get an analysis back on how much lime I have to put down in fertilizer. And that's very, very important for a couple of reasons. Number one is, obviously, if you know how much fertilizer and lime you have to put down, that saves money in the long run. You're not guessing. And the second thing is, which is as important, if not more, it helps maximize the yields of what you're growing. So what we're going to do is we're going to come around here and we're just going to dig down, gather up a trowel full, and we're going to do that in 5 or so spots. Try to keep some of the roots out of it, get it as clean as possible. And we're trying to get a sample. And then I prepared a bag, and it's pretty self-explanatory. And the main thing is I mark it with whatever field that I've taken the sample from. Okay. And then I'll just seal it up and I'll drop it off at the local co-op in a week. About a week later, I'll get about 7 days later, they'll call me, and I'll get a sheet back that basically has all the analysis that I need in order to put the correct amount of lime and fertilizer down. Get up. Come here. Come on. Heel up. Heel up. Hey, heel. 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 Huh? Sit. Stay. 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 Fetch it up. Heel. No. Now he's doing tricks. There's a trick. Come here. 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 Heel. Sit. Stay. Boom. Fetch it. Fetch it up. Here. 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 Come on. Come on. Come on. No, I'm not picking that bird up. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Come on.